Hello and welcome back to Normal Guy Games. So recently I bought and put together the models from the Space Marine board game, and I have painted up my Tyranids, and we've seen the video for that. So I have also taken the time to paint up Lieutenant Titus. So that's what this video is about. Let's get straight to it. So we've gone through my Tyranid scheme. Let's go through what I did for Titus. The first thing I did was unfortunately a failure. I started off with Monument Hobbies Payne's Gray, which was way too dark. And then my big mistake was I actually started mixing in white, or, well, it was, Monument Hobbies Blue White with the Payne's Gray. In hindsight, was not the best thing. So what I did, and as you can see here, is I started off with Payne's Gray, and then I mixed a little more of the blue white and a little more of the blue white and a little more of the blue white, and I realized it was starting to get kind of chalky. And when I took a picture of it with my phone, it was just so grainy, and it didn't blend well, it didn't mesh well, and it's because I used the white to thin down the Payne's Gray and to change the tone. So instead I went back and I used some Games Workshop colors, as you saw there, and I redid it. And you can see here where it kind of blends a little better, it meshes a little better. And then I went back and started doing some edge highlights. Now with edge highlights, you want to kind of wipe your paintbrush off on a paper towel. You don't want, as you can see here, I had a little too much on there, but I'm just going over and doing a couple of edge highlights here and there. I'm not doing a full edge highlight because on a Space Marine, that is ridiculous. It takes way too long. I went back and used Reaper's Pure Black for the undersuit. And you guys have seen me do gold on my channel before, but I decided to do the entire logo in gold, or the emblem here on his shoulder, instead of doing red around it, because I felt like it looked a little bit better, but that's just me. But anyway, Retributor Armor for the gold. That's the gold that I use pretty much for most of the gold that I do. And then I moved on from there to doing the tabard, and I used blue white for that again, but since it was supposed to be white from the beginning, not that big of an issue. Now I used more of that pure black for the chainsword, and this black is one of my favorites. This and Noir Black are my two favorite black paints, quite honestly. They're both Reaper. Moving on, I used Reaper's Ebony Flesh, which is kind of close to Rhinox Hide on all of the pouches, and his pistol holder. Now, I went back with Mournfang and did some highlights with that, and, did some edge highlighting and whatnot. And that turned out pretty good. That's kind of my go-to right now for leather. If I really want a quick leather scheme, is the Ebony Flesh and the Mournfang Brown. Now for his face, I went in and did Bugman's Glow. I did three very thin coats of it, just because I wanted it to be kind of smooth. And then using my regular method, I went back and I used varying shades of lighter skin tones to paint up just the raised areas, like the brows, the eyebrow areas, the forehead, cheeks, nose, lips, anything that kind of sticks out on the face itself. And I actually went back after that, and I went back with a wash to kind of darken everything up and unify all the colors. I used Gullman Flesh. Now for his hair, I used the same recipe that I used for the leather. I went in with the Reaper Ebony Flesh, and then I used Mournfang to lighten up just the top of it while that Ebony Flesh was still kind of wet. I also painted his eyebrows, because Space Marines should have eyebrows, right? For the Purity Seals, I went red with various highlights of red. We did Mournfang for the first highlight. It's based in Corn red, and then I did Wild Rider red as the final highlight. The purity seals themselves, I've based them in ebony flesh, and then I used that Balathean chitin, which is my favorite kind of ivory color. Now here, I left this in. This is going to extend the video a little bit, but I actually did just a simple red line on his tabard. Now it's free-handed, so the bottom of the tabard just has the same mix as the purity seals, so it's corn red with Mephiston red on top of that, and then a little bit of Wild Rider on the very tops of everything. And I think that turned out pretty well. I mean, it's a very simple freehand, but to tell you the truth, all freehands are pretty difficult. So, just kind of showing you here that it's just give it a shot. You never know if it'll turn out, but I think it turned out pretty good, honestly. Getting underneath the tabard was a little crazy, but So moving on, I used Vallejo's steel, and this is one of their airbrush colors. I used that for all of the metal pieces, for the chainsword teeth, for the vents on the back of his pack here, and anything else that's metal, including the dry brush on the bolt gun and the chainsword. Now, I did go a little overboard on the chainsword because I kind of wanted it to look worn, and in hindsight, I probably should have just done what I did here and just do a couple of simple lines and whatnot, just to throw some damage on there. This step here is optional. I used some of that metallic to do some battle damage, and then I went back with Skeleton Horde and the Reliquary and on the Purity Seals to kind of darken them up a little bit and make them look worn. I went back on all of the leather and I did a little more wear and tear on it, and I used Apothecary White in the recesses of the tabard. And honestly, I did go back and I did writing on the Purity Seal, and I did a little bit more on the weathering or whatnot, but all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. So this is the final product. This is how it looks now, and as you see, I'm pointing out the weathering on the pistol holster, and if you can see there, the writing on the Purity Seal. I just kind of dabbed the tip of my brush on there, but I think it turned out pretty well. So anyway, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.